everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Training. I hope you're having a fantastic week. As always,
we are live from Austin, Texas, right here in Insurance Syndicate headquarters. And man, we have a great show for you.
Good morning. Good morning. What is happening, everybody? It's Tuesday, so it's Tuesday Training time. Yeah, that's right. If you saw my post earlier, you saw the topic that I posted. We're going to be talking about bundling again. I talked about this a while back and got a good response on it. Got a lot of questions. I had mentioned in that last show that I was working on a worksheet to make it simpler so you don't always have to have everything in your brain when you're writing it down. So I've got that worksheet ready for you that I'm going to show you. And I'm going to show you a couple of ways to get creative about this where you'll be able to do it whether you're doing a Medicare supplement presentation and bundle or whether you're doing a Medicare Advantage plan presentation and bundle. The couple of key items on it, I'll jump into it in a bit. But I'm going to show you how you can present it regardless, right? The idea here, before I get into it, because I got some news I want to go over with you. The idea is that you are a professional, right? You're the licensed professional. They know who you are. And you have the ability to create a custom benefit plan design that you can show to your clients. It's going to give them better coverage, right? Absolutely round out better coverage. It's going to create a more loyal customer for you. Certainly going to increase your commissions and increase your retention. So that's kind of the whole idea of the bundling. The way I've designed it works best for turning 65 folks, but it will work for replacement business as well. You just got to make some tweaks, and we'll talk about that when we jump into it. But before I get up the news, I do want to make a quick mention that this show is brought to you by DFY, or Done For You CRM, which is the CRM I use. It is a Go High Level white label. A lot of you guys out there are using Go High Level white labels. The big reason why I use DFY is because it already had built-in workflows. Wasn't just an empty shell. So it had proven workflows that I could immediately just plug my assets into and start utilizing it. Right now, we are pumping probably, I don't know, maybe 2,500, 3,000 leads every 12 months through there. So I use it on the front end to do all my prospecting for me, landing pages, automations, amazing stuff. One of the new features that recently opened up on it that I really like, and this should be available on all Go High Level platforms, but is the auto reply option for your Facebook comments. Pretty slick. So now anytime we have a Facebook post, if someone comments on it, I have a library of replies that it'll automatically rotate through to point that prospect or that Facebook replier to someone. So excellent tool, man. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Give my buddy Eric Fierro a call. He will get you a demo. So with that said, I got some news that I want to jump into real quick. Right up first, I mean, it's been a while since I've had a chance to talk about some fraud, but we definitely got some right here. Texas doctor loses his medical license in Kansas after a $1.4 million Medicare fraud scheme. And it's always around the same thing, man. It's always around medical devices, prescriptions, and so forth that these guys are using to get kickbacks. Same thing here. This guy and his co-conspirators were submitting a little over $1 million in false and fraudulent claims to Medicare for prescription testing, generic testing, and durable medical equipment. Medicare paid out a little over $500,000, and obviously now they're going after him. So just another one I wanted to put up there. It's been a while since we've seen some really good fraud in the Medicare space, but here is one here. So rest assured that other people are ripping off Medicare while they rip off you. So moving on, next one I've got real quick right here, and this is good stuff. This is something that's been a hot topic for a little while. If you saw the show that I did with Norma Johnson, I think that was maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago, we talked about some of the problems that exist in the pharmaceutical industry related to Medicare, right? Big part of that show was about the Inflation Reduction Act and how it is going to affect Medicare Part D, both adversely and positively. But one of the things that she talked about quite a bit was some of the problems with the PBMs, the pharmaceutical benefit managers, that are the ones that are negotiating a lot of the rebates, but they're negotiating those rebates and they're keeping all that money for themselves, and it doesn't pass through to the pharmacy, to the carrier, or certainly to the insured in a form of savings. And right here, we've got it, the FTC formally sues PBMs over insulin prices and warns manufacturers. Basically, what they're saying is that the Federal Trade Commission is suing the titans of the pharmacy benefit manager industry for anti-competitive practices and artificially raising the price of insulin drug prices. The complaint alleges that Optum Rx, Express Scripts, and Caremark, all vertically integrated with United Health Group, Cigna, and CVS Health, respectively, has caused patients to pay more for life-saving drugs, engaging in a rigged pharmaceutical supply chain. Pretty simple. Basically, they are raising the prices on these products to their systems to increase the rebates so that they are the ones pocketing those rebates. Says it right here. These PBMs value high rebates from manufacturers and purposefully excluded lowered list price insulins, resulting in greater profits for the company, higher costs for patients, and of course, Medicare too, since they are picking up part of that cost. So the rebates are used to attract payers, employers, unions, and other insurers. So great article here, man. I'm going to get this one in the group for you. This will help you understand some of the challenge that we are having in the industry. And they even give a really good example down here. Agency said its internal investigation found potential wrongdoing from insulin manufacturers Eli Lilly, Sanofi, and Novo Nordisk, hinting more legal action could be justified. Pharma companies have inflated their drug list prices in response to PBM's high rebate prices, citing Lilly's Humalog increasing 1,200% in price from 1999 to 2017. That is pretty crazy. So it's nice to see him going after him, because that was a big beef that Norman Johnson and I were talking about on that show, was that the big part of the issue that nobody seems to be addressing are the PBMs. So it's good to see that the Federal Trade Commission is going after them, and hopefully they can clean that up, and that will create a much better savings, not only for Medicare, not only for the Medicare patient, but also for the company, right? If we can reduce the total cost of these drugs that everybody is paying for, then we can certainly make it more affordable for all those involved. Because part of the big issue right now, as many of you already know, is that many of these carriers are exiting the marketplace, or they're pulling their plans back because they cannot find a profitable means to function under some of the new guidelines, which is exactly what this article right here is saying. Some of this you guys have already seen, but Cigna is scaling back their Medicare Advantage footprint in 8 states. They say the reductions will only affect about 5,400 members, so not as savage as some of the other ones out there, but they are definitely peeling back. Cigna's planned reductions will affect 36 plans across 8 states that include the insurer exiting at least 3 counties entirely, according to a notice written by Pinnacle Financial Services. Here are your states in select areas of Colorado, Florida, Illinois, Missouri, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Utah. Will lose access to at least one Cigna plan next year. Meanwhile, Cigna is exiting 2 counties in Missouri, 1 county in North Carolina. So they say it's going to affect about 5,400 members. That's only about 1% of Cigna's total MA membership. Not as big a deal as the next one. And I'm sure you've heard about this already too. Humana exiting 13 markets in the Medicare Advantage world. Much larger exit this time around. Diamond explained around 560,000 members are going to be affected by Humana's exit in certain states and markets. A big part of Humana's exit is a lot of their PPO plans that are in very rural areas of Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, etc. That is where we're seeing a lot of these exits happening, because they don't have, number one, they don't have the money to maintain a product in that area, and they certainly don't have network as thick in those areas to help support them. So 560,000 from Humana. So pretty interesting stuff there, right? We all know that there is a lot of change happening in the Medicare Advantage world as we roll in to AEP, which I mean we are 6 days away from kickoff day. It is right around the corner, man. So everybody's getting excited. Everybody's been crazy talking about it, getting everything ready to go, getting their annual notice of change ready to go, trying to figure out who's in, who is out, what plans I'm going to have available to me. And I've talked about this before. I was actually trading conversation with someone in a Facebook group. They were sharing, I think they were actually sharing a Newsweek article that had talked about that Humana disruption with about 560,000 members. Well, every year, roughly 1 million Medicare beneficiaries lose their coverage involuntarily every year, primarily in California and Florida, which is generally where a lot of the plan exits, plan disruptions happen from year to year. So every year, about 1 million people lose their plan. But this year, it's going to be quite a bit higher because, again, as you saw, Humana's dropping about 560,000 members that are being affected just in plan exits. Aetna, similar thing. Like we're seeing about another close to 500,000 people that are going to be affected just by Aetna, right? But those aren't the only two. Those are two of the biggest ones. You've also got some shakeup with Cigna. You got Mutual Omaha exiting the prescription drug side of it. Kansas City Blue is pulling out of that market altogether, and there are certainly plenty of other disruptions. Meanwhile, you got a few carriers like Devoted, for example, that might be scaling their product back a little bit in terms of benefits, but they are expanding their footprint further. So you're seeing quite a bit of disruption, quite a bit of market shift out there. If you have not tuned in to some of your different AEP rollouts from some of the carriers that you represent, make sure you get on that and are very aware of what changes are happening in the markets that you serve, because there is not only are you probably going to have some plans that are leaving the space and have some members that are being disrupted, but more importantly, where are the areas that you can maybe focus on a new product or maybe focus on a new plan that's getting created this year. United Healthcare's got a new plan coming out. I believe it's called Flex Care, if I remember correctly. It's coming into my county. It looks pretty hot. I'm excited about it, right? And with some of the disruptions that are happening, that's going to be a plan that I'm targeting quite a bit. Same thing with Devoted. Like Devoted is expanding into some areas that other carriers are leaving or other products or plans are leaving. So I'm going to be doing some targeted marketing in those areas where I feel like that Devoted product might be strong. So definitely some stuff to do. It's a huge shakeup. And I would also finally say, man, if you're a newer agent out there and you are prepared for this Medicare season, this is going to be a great opportunity for you to go out there and scoop up a boatload of business. I helped my wife, Grace, launch her business in August of 2020, which was the year of the lockdowns and COVID, right? We are the COVIDians. That was another great year. There was a ton of disruption, ton of madness going on, and was a great chance for her to go out there and scoop up a lot of business. Same thing's happening this year, man. So if you've been in the business for a while and you have a big book, this is going to be a retention-heavy season for you. But if you're a new agent, this should be an opportunity for you to go out and pick up a ton of business. And with that said, I want to jump into my bundle sheet for you guys. And as a matter of fact, I got to share it again. Pardon me. I apologize. I accidentally closed my screen share. So thank you. So it's not great to see on the screen. It's the best I can do with the sharing tools that we have. This is a PDF of my worksheet that I've created. And now it disappeared again. There it is. My producer's doing a hell of a job in the background. Thank you. But this is a worksheet that I created. If you guys remember, maybe 5 or so weeks ago, I think it was maybe the week right after my talk with Norma Johnson. It might have been the one before. I talked about bundling, right? And as I have gotten back into personal production a little bit more, I'm writing about 4 to 5 apps on every single person that I talk to. Granted, I'm talking to a lot of T65s because that's the space that I focus on. I don't really focus on replacement business. Don't mind doing it. We'll absolutely do it and have to do it during AEP because it's part of the game. But from month to month to month, I'm always talking to T65s that are brand new to the Medicare space. They are definitely the easiest target to bundle, but you can still bundle on replacements. It's just going to take some changes in some of your, you would need a different worksheet, most likely. But you would just need to change up some of your language, and you got to know what plan they already have so that you can compare it on the top side to your custom benefit design on the bottom side. Last time that I went through this, I gave it to you in the respect of making you write it down, just as though I would if I were doing a telephone call, right? Because this can work, I promise, whether you're doing it face to face or you're doing it on the phone, right? And I know because I've proven both of them. As a matter of fact, when I recently, in one of my recent appointments that I did by phone, I actually bundled more apps in that package than I did the face to face one. Face-to-face one, the last guy that came in, I think I wrote him 5 apps, if I remember correctly. This last phone call that I pulled this bundle worksheet out on and tested it, I got 8 apps in there. So it's not hard to do. You just have to do it. And I'm going to walk you through some steps at this worksheet. And if you guys want a generic copy of this worksheet, just raise your hand. It's super simple. Like, this isn't rocket surgery. All I'm doing is I'm creating a tool that's going to help me explain a certain type of presentation and bundle some products in there. So if I'm face-to-face, I'm going to pull this worksheet out as part of my presentation package. If I'm on the phone, I'm going to tell them to write these things down with me. And I'm going to go through it line item by line item. Now, some prerequisites, right? Obviously, you got to get your permission to contact. If you haven't already had that, you shouldn't even be having this conversation with them. Second thing that you do need your scope of appointment. Has to be already completed before you get into this worksheet, because otherwise you're not going to be able to talk about drug coverage. You're not going to be able to talk about Medicare Advantage plan coverage, right? Which could very well be included in your product design that you deliver them. So you have to have the scope. You got to have PTC. You also need drugs and doctors if there are any. If they're taking any prescriptions, you need to know that up front so that you can do a proper comparison, because everything that this bundle worksheet is designed to do is show them what their almost exact, right, or as close to you can estimated out-of-pocket cost will be, not only from a premium standpoint, from a usage standpoint. So if you do not know what their drugs are, you're not going to be able to do it. It just won't work. I mean, you can half-ass it, but we're not in the game to half-ass this stuff. We are in the game to nail this stuff down for people. If they have some required doctors, that's good information to know. It's not part of the worksheet, but that's going to help you when it comes to narrowing down plans. One of the ways this worksheet works so well is actually because of the 48-hour scope rule, right? If it's an inbound call that I'm taking, I'm going to have to work a little faster. And with my skill set, I should be able to do my intake while I'm talking on the phone and building all of this up. But in a lot of situations, I'm calling people that may be a lead response, right? They requested information. They filled out a lead form online, and I am calling them back, getting some basic intake information, and then setting my appointment after I scope them 48 hours later. And if you haven't already figured out some easy language on the scope, dude, don't be telling people that, oh, the government requires me to send you this document and wait 48 hours because they don't trust me that I can ethically sell you products on the same phone call. So they tie my hands and I need you to sign this. Like, don't say stupid shit like that. The scope is simple, man. Just say, hey, perfect. And this is why I like Retire Flow so much. Another sidebar, if you're not using Retire Flow to pick up your scope of appointment, your intake form, all of your information, you're missing the boat. Great tool, because not only will it double capture my permission to contact, it'll grab the scope. I can get doctors, I can get drugs, I can get everything that I need so that I can do my due diligence. But simply the way I present the scope is simple. Hey, okay, I'm going to send you this quick intake survey that outlines the scope of our appointment and includes some additional questions that'll help me get a jump start on it. If you can knock that out for me, I'll just need maybe a couple of days to kind of do some research, figure out what plans are going to be best suited to your needs. And let's see, I've got some time next Tuesday, and just set that appointment, right? And then all you got to do is get them to fill out the scope, get it done, and then boom, you've got everything you need. So use it in your favor in that regards. But once I have that information, and once I have that T65 sitting in front of me or on the phone, ready for presentation time, ready for closing time. So this means that I've got permission to contact, I have my scope, I know my drugs. If they've got any doctors, I know that too, right? Any other intake information that I know I need to help me create a plan design for them. But I also know that they have their Medicare card, and they are ready to write business today. I really don't want to go through this with someone that is not ready to fill out an app today. Okay. If I'm still in educational mode because their Medicare Part A and B are still pending with Medicare, right? Because they just turned in their app. I don't want to go through all of this yet. Okay. In those situations, I'm just going to do some light education, teach them about Medicare. And hey, when your Medicare card comes back, your Medicare number's approved, then we'll dive into specific plan design for you. But I don't want to get ahead of the curve, right? Because I want all my ducks in a row, because this is really designed as a closing presentation to really close the business, nail down the products, and so forth. So I whip this worksheet out. And then again, if I'm doing this on the phone, I'm going to tell them, just as I did recently with Joanna, one of my clients. I told her, I'm like, hey, Joanna, do you have a piece of paper or a notepad and a pen? Because I have some items that are very important I want you to write down, because I want to make sure that you understand exactly what Medicare is bringing to the table so that you can understand what great coverage they do provide you and then where they do fall short, because that's what's going to ultimately dictate your benefit design that we pick for you, right? I never want to disparage Medicare and say Medicare is crap product, right? And that's why you're talking to me, is so I can help you find better insurance. I'm going to tell them, hey, Medicare is great coverage, but it has some downsides, and here's why. So if I'm face-to-face, I'm going to pull this out. And obviously, I can't write on the screen. So I apologize. We're not that sophisticated here. Maybe we'll work on getting some higher tech stuff where I can do this worksheet and write along with you. But I'm going to write. I'm going to remind them and say, hey, Joanna, so as you remember from some of our conversations, and as maybe you have found out through your enrollment process in Medicare, you've already discovered that Medicare Part A comes at no cost to you, right? Don't use the word free. Yes, Medicare Part A is free for most people, but don't use that word. Medicare hates that word. And if you ever have a complaint of any sort and the word free is in your script or in your recording, they're going to say something to you about it. Are you getting in a ton of trouble? No, not unless it's hugely egregious and it's obviously something that you're doing that's fraudulent. But just eliminate that word from your vocabulary 100%. So Medicare Part A comes at no cost, Joanna. We already know that. And I'm going to write no cost, or I'm going to write $0 next to the Medicare Part A piece on that worksheet. And as you've also found out, Joanna, Medicare Part B is costing you $174.70 per month, correct? Yes, it is, Tony. That's what it costs. Perfect. So now that we know what Part A and B are getting us, what are costing us, what are they getting us? And that's the 80-20 plan, right? So when you're enrolled in both parts A and B, you have an 80-20 plan. The great part about it is that it's national, but the downside is while Medicare is paying 80%, you're going to pay 20%. And next to the 80-20 plan, I am writing the word uncapped, UNCAPPED. That's the most important part about that 20%, Joanne, is that is uncapped. It can go as high as it needs to go. And then to give you some examples of what that looks like in a real world context, you'll see that I broke down some items underneath the 80-20 plan. And these are real world costs that we're going to go through and write out so that my prospect or my client can visualize that and understand exactly what they would spend in real world scenarios. I'm not trying to use an imagination and figments and in some fairyland. I want to give them an actual gritty, organic, real world experience of what just having original Medicare would feel like. Okay. So in a doctor visit scenario, right, Medicare is still going to cover 80% of it, but the average doctor visit is about $250, which means your 20% is $50. And I'm going to write $50 next to the doctor visit piece on that worksheet. Now, if we're hospitalized, in Texas, the average hospital stay is 3 days and runs about $15,000. Well, 20% of $15,000 is now $3,000. And that's closer to what your hospital stay might look like. And I'm going to write down $3,000. Pretty simple. We get into critical illness, things like cancer, heart, and stroke, right? They already know that stuff is more expensive. You don't have to get into granular detail. Like everybody knows cancer is expensive. Everybody knows that a heart attack or stroke is expensive, right? We've all, especially at their age, they've probably experienced some of it themselves, whether it be a family member or so forth. So you don't have to treat them like they're idiots. You just want to make sure that they understand, like, hey, in a critical illness situation like cancer, heart, and stroke, obviously expenses are going up. And now you're looking at bills that are probably going to start around $25,000. And I write 25K with a plus next to it. And you can see them nodding their head along. And you can see them doing some math in their brain. They're starting to figure this out. And then finally, I want to talk to you about skilled nursing now. And I always explain it to them exactly this way. Number one, skilled nursing is not long-term care. It looks a lot like long-term care, but what it really is recovery care after a major event or a major surgery, right? Now, good news is skilled nursing, and this is exactly what I say, Medicare is going to give you the first 20 days of skilled nursing at no cost, not free, at no cost. And so I write down no cost, or I write down a $sign with the 0 next to the 1 through 20 days. However, the average beneficiary needs 37 days. I say that also, right? Which lets them know, well, 20 days isn't necessarily enough because the average beneficiary uses about 37 days of skilled nursing. So again, I'm going to say skilled nursing. Good news is Medicare gives you 20 days at no cost. Most beneficiaries, however, need 37 days. So when you go over your 20 days, and now I'm looking at next to the subheading 21 through 100 days, they're going to charge you $204 per day as a copayment. And I'm going to write $204 per day. Now, in the event, while it's rare, it does happen sometimes, in the event you spend more than 100 days in skilled nursing, they're going to make you pay all costs, right next to 101 days. Which I'm not sure if you're familiar with the cost of skilled nursing facilities, but just to give you an example, in Texas, you're looking at about $100,000 a year easily for full-time skilled nursing care. And I'm going to write next to that skilled nursing blank, 100,000 plus. Now, if you're in a different state than Texas, and the numbers aren't going to be that off, but if you're in Illinois or you're in California or New Mexico or wherever you're at, actually, if you're in California, I wouldn't even bother with this because a stupid governor out there won't let you cross-market garbage anyway. So this all goes out the window. But in other states that are reasonable, do some research. Find out what the average 3-day cost is for a hospital stay, because the average hospital stay is 3 days. So find out what it costs in Kentucky or Illinois or wherever it is that you may be in Florida, right? Find out what skilled nursing facility coverage looks like in your area so you can be accurate. I'm giving you numbers that are relative to Texas. They're pretty relevant across all states, but, be a little more focused that you can hit, because there are some states that are cheaper than others. There are some states that are more expensive, but I can guarantee you that my numbers that I'm giving you are probably not too far off from what you can use, right? So again, I just want to recap. Next to Medicare Part A, we write 0 cost or no cost. Next to Medicare Part B, we write what their Part B premium would be, which in most cases is $174.70. If you find out someone's on IRMA, then write them what their IRMA number is for Medicare Part B, right? We want to deal with real costs here. Next to the 80-20 plan, we should have the word uncapped, UNCAPPED, uncapped. Doctor visit, $50. Hospital stay, $3,000. Critical illness, $25,000 plus. Skilled nursing, $100,000 plus, right? Now that we've gotten through those items, we still don't have drug coverage, which I'll mark out. And we still don't have dental, vision, and hearing, which I mark out, right? Or you might write next to them, not included, right? So I pointed out what their costs are with Medicare. I pointed out what their exposure is with Medicare, and I've reminded them we still don't have drug coverage, dental, vision, and hearing. Okay, so I pointed out the problem. If you know my buddy Greg Gerbikian, he will tell you to sell the problem, not the solution. This is a great way to sell the problem. I have 100% solved the problem here. Very easy. So the next thing that I do, and again, we're not going to be able to see this fully. I probably should have just written a worksheet out for you guys. That would have probably been easier. The next thing I do is I'm now going to circle everything that I wrote above that top line or that middle line. I'm going to write or draw a circle around it, and then I'm going to point down to the blank area of the page, which is on the bottom half. And this is where I write my plan design in. So what I can do is I can take all of this and I can turn it into this. And what you turn it into is going to be up to you on your creativity on what you think is going to be reasonable for that client, fit their budget, and actually give them proper coverage. I'm not going to do it the same every time, right? Because based on their drugs, their doctors, what they're already spending there, I got to get creative in how I can create a solid healthcare package for them that is going to mitigate as much risk as we can afford to mitigate without it breaking the bank, right? I'm not just trying to shove a bunch of product down my client's throat to increase my commissions. I want to find the right products that I can put into a package that is going to meet this person's concerns, needs, desires, and wants in their healthcare package while fitting their budget. Fairly simple. So I'm going to, again, circle everything above the fold and say, I can take all of this and I can turn it into this. And I'm going to give you some examples. Follow along. If I am bundling a Medicare supplement package, then what I would say was I can take all of this and I can turn it into a full-blown healthcare package with a $240 deductible, right? A $240 deductible. That is going to be primarily for doctor services, and I'll explain how that breaks down in a minute. I'm going to be able to include dental and vision for you with a very wide network that you won't have any problem finding coverage in. Matter of fact, that favorite dentist that you told me is already in it. And I'm just kind of shooting from the hip on that, for example, right? But I can turn it into a $240 annual deductible, still allow you to see all of your favorite doctors that you've already talked about, include the dental, vision, and hearing. I'm also going to be able to include your drug coverage. And the drugs that you're taking, I've examined them. We can go to your favorite Walgreens. It's going to cost you about $36 a month to refill your prescriptions. I will tell you could save a little more if you went to mail order. But if you told me you like to go to Walgreens, so we're looking at $36 there. And since Medicare's only given you 20 days of coverage for skilled nursing, I'm able to make it actually 460 days of skilled nursing. I'm just kind of giving you some arbitrary examples, right? Where am I getting the $240 deductible from? Well, that's either a Plan N or a Plan G Medicare supplement. Okay. So that's how I'm able to say that. I'm able to take all this. I can turn it into a $240 annual deductible. You're still going to be able to see any doctor that you want nationwide. No referrals, no permissions, but we're going to limit your doctor cost to $240. You will have a couple of other co-payments, which I'll go over with you in a minute, but pretty basic. And again, we're going to include dental, vision, and hearing. And that's going to give you actually up to $1,500 in dental and I think it's $170 in frames or contacts every year, depending on how often you need those. And then finally, like I said, drug coverage. We got you fixed up with a simple drug card that's going to help you get those prescriptions refilled at your favorite Walgreens for $36. And then finally, instead of just giving you 20 days of skilled nursing at no cost, we're going to expand that to up to 460 total days of skilled nursing. And not only are we going to expand the amount of coverage you get for skilled nursing, we're going to give you an option that you can actually do that in the safety or the privacy of your own home. So if you don't want to go to a sterile nursing facility to get that type of recovery care, you can have it in your home surrounded by your loved ones. Pretty simple. That's the healthcare plan I just designed. And just to give you an example, that includes a med sup, that includes a dental and a vision plan, or maybe a dental, vision, hearing combo plan, depending on what product is appropriate in your area, right? It includes their PDP drug plan. And I added on a home health care plan in this particular example. I have a product from United National Life for home healthcare that I love offering out. Great product. I truly believe in it, right? So that's 4 apps that I bundled in there. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do after I've told them what the benefits are, and my camera is on the wrong side, so you can't see it at the bottom of the sheet there. Can I scroll down to pull it up? There we go. Maybe that'll help. There we go. Yeah, so now you can see it. So if you look at the bottom, health plan cost, estimated RX cost, Part B cost, total monthly expense. So this is where I'm going to give them my cost. Now, if I've done my due diligence, I've already created this plan design before I even had the appointment with them. So I already know what my health plan cost is because I took time to research this and figure out, okay, I want to sell them, and I'm just going to be arbitrary. I want to sell them a Bankers Fidelity plan in. It's coming in at $86.43 in their area. That Emeritus Dental and Vision plans are going to come in. I think it's $36 and whatever, 21 cents. My drug plan, because they're only taking some basic prescriptions, I'm able to get them that low-cost $16 new Cigna PDP plus 36 for their refills. And then finally, I'm adding in my home healthcare product, which is $50.90 as an example. What is that? We're looking, that is like $178, I'm guessing, right? So health plan cost, I'm going to write in $178.52, whatever the hell it is that all of my bundle package adds up to. Then I'm going to add their estimated RX cost, right? Your health plan cost are this. You're going to cost you an extra $36 when you go to your favorite Walgreens to get your drugs. As you already know, your Part B cost is that. And then boom, there's your total monthly expense. It's probably going to be somewhere around $340 or so, plus or minus. And then I'm going to ask them 2 questions. Number 1, does that sound like the type of healthcare package that you and your family would appreciate? And when they say yes, which I can almost guarantee you they will, the next question is, does that fit your budget? And they say yes again. Perfect. I just need a few minutes to knock out some paperwork. We're going to have you out the door here momentarily. Fairly simple. I promise you it works. You just got to try it. The key language is in 1, nailing that comparison on the top. Here's all the stuff Medicare gives you, but I'm showing you all the gaps in coverage that you're on the hook for, Betty. And as they're going to that, they're adding it up in their brain. They're like, holy shit, that's a lot of money. I do not want to have that type of exposure, right? Because she's thinking, she's like, shoot, I've only got X. I've got 3 CDs in the bank that have a total of $100K in them. They're earning interest, but if I have to blow all that on skilled nursing, I have no money. I was trying to leave some of that for my grandkid to help him pay for college or whatever it might be, right? They're putting all that in their brain. And if you didn't know this already, the average income of everybody 65 and older is only $41,000. So it's not like I've seen a bunch of people railing on boomers as wealth hoarders, which has really been pissing me off. They're not, man. These people are making on average $41,000. Do you have some extremely well-off older folks out there that are on Medicare? Of course, but by and large, they're not. So they're looking at all those costs thinking about, man, I can't afford all of that. If I have to go to the doctor, if I have to be hospitalized, if I get cancer, if I have a stroke, like they need to know what that protection looks like. So the details is in nailing that piece of the presentation, being very creative and smart in your custom benefit plan design, and then just totaling it up at the bottom with 2 simple costs, right? Now, if I was doing this same thing, but I wanted to put in a Medicare Advantage plan, pardon me 1 second, I accidentally threw my pen. All right, but if I wanted to do this with a Medicare Advantage plan, for example, because maybe I'm in Florida and just the Medicare Advantage plans are just that damn hot because I can get them in a plan in Miami-Dade County that only has a $500 MOOP or an $800 MOOP or a $1,000 MOOP, right? This is how I would present. Everything above the line is still the same. Nothing changes above the fold. The only difference is in my custom benefit plan design that I'm going to write in the blank area. But this is exactly the language I would use. And I'm going to be a little bit arbitrary because, again, I don't know what plan I've chosen, but I'm going to give you exactly how I would say it, exactly how I would present that plan to them, and so forth. So I can take all of this right at the top of the fold, and here's what I can turn it into. I can turn it into a 0 deductible plan that is going to allow you to go see those favorite doctors that you have, Dr. Wilder and Dr. Jones. And while it will have some co-payments when you use the plan, it does include a maximum out of pocket of $2,700 per year. So worst case scenario, if you're hospitalized for a lengthy time or you do contract a critical illness, cancer, heart, stroke, good news is your max out of pocket for hospital and medical in the year is protected at $2,700. So whereas Medicare is uncapped, I'm able to put a cap on it of $2,700. Now, this plan is also going to include $1,500 in comprehensive dental. It's going to give you eyeglass cover or vision coverage where you can get your checkups and everything at no cost, and it will give you up to $150. Not sure what's going on back there. There we go. And it will give you an extra $150 every 2 years, every 14 months or 12 months, 24 months, whatever it is, for frames and contacts. Now, it is going to include drug coverage as well. So you can go to your favorite Walgreens with this plan, and you can pick up those prescriptions that you told me you have. It's going to cost you right about $36 a month to refill your scripts. You could save a few dollars by going through mail order, but you told me you like going through Walgreens. Now, finally, this plan, similar to Medicare, will only give you 20 days of skilled nursing coverage, but I'm able to redesign it to give you up to 460 days of skilled nursing coverage. I've done the exact same thing, haven't changed anything. Now all I've done is now I have an MAPD and a home health care plan. So I'm only getting 2 apps out of it, but I'm getting all the benefits that I want, right? 0 deductible plan. Well, if the plan I'm showing them has no deductible, then just say it has no deductible, right? It includes your favorite doctors, right? So I'm able to take all of this and give you a 0 deductible plan that will accept your 2 favorite doctors you told me about. And while you will have some co-payments and co-insurances as you use your plan, I'm able to include a protection of a maximum out of pocket of only $2,700 a year. That's for hospital and medical, right? So if something bad happens and you are hospitalized or you are dealing with a critical illness or massive surgery, good news is your hospital and medical is going to be capped at $2,700 to protect you versus that uncapped situation with Medicare. Now, finally, I'm able to wrap into your plan $1,500 in dental, vision covers that will let you get a free eye exam every year and give you $150 in frame benefits toward frames. And then finally, we're able to include drug coverage that it's going to cost you $36 a month to go refill those favorite prescriptions at your Walgreens. And then the skilled nursing days. You may wonder where I'm getting the number 460 from. I am getting that from, number one, the policy that I offer or sell offers 360 consecutive days of skilled nursing or home health care. And then they're getting 20 days free from Medicare, and they get another 100 or 80 days with the copayment. So I'm looking at that as 100 plus 360 equals 460. That's not necessarily how people would use it, but that would be their total skilled nursing coverage that wouldn't charge them all costs, where they would have coverage at some level, right? And then the other trigger word that I use is that also gives you the option to flip that into your home. Now, I may not like that plan design. That's my plan design that I just whipped off the top of my head. Another way I might do that is with the hospital indemnity plan instead, right? Or maybe it's a cancer plan instead. Maybe it's a cancer plan and a hospital indemnity plan. Maybe it's a hospital indemnity plan, a cancer plan, and a home health care plan, depending on how much you might want to push the envelope to get them covered, right? And thankfully, there are hospital indemnity plans out there like the one at United National Life that I like to sell that not only includes hospital indemnity, but it includes a skilled nursing rider and it includes a cancer rider as well. So I can actually get all of those into a really fat hospital indemnity plan. Another reason I like United National Life is they have a fill the gaps button on their quoter. So if I know what Medicare Advantage plan they have, I can just punch it in and it will auto snap all of the hospital indemnity benefits. So to give you another example, hey, I can take all of that, Ms. Jones, and I can turn it into a zero deductible plan that does accept your favorite doctors that you mentioned. And while it will have some co-insurances and co-payments while you use the plan, it does include a maximum out-of-pocket protection of only $2,700 a year, right? I was also able to include $1,500 in comprehensive dental, as well as vision coverage that'll get you a free exam every year and $150 credit towards frames or contacts. This plan will also include drug coverage that will allow you to go to your favorite Walgreens. Those prescriptions that you told me you're taking will cost you $36 every time you go in there to refill them. And then finally, where Medicare was only going to give you 20 days of skilled nursing, my plan design is able to get it up to 460 days. Or I might say something different, where this plan does include hospital co-payments of, let's just say $1,500, $300 a day for 5 days, right? I'm able to wipe that out through a hospital indemnity plan so that you'll get reimbursed for those. And it also includes $10,000 in lump sum cancer coverage. So in the event that you, or when, not in the event, but when you are diagnosed with cancer, you'll get one check for $10,000 that you can use to help with your treatment coverage, whatever you need. And then finally, I'm going to bring down my health plan cost, which if we know anything about Medicare Advantage plans, my health plan cost for the Medicare Advantage plan is probably zero, right? So that zero premium Medicare Advantage plan, as an example, that includes my hospital medical, that includes my dental, vision, and hearing, right? Those aren't extra costs. The only other product that I have to add on is the home health care or the hospital indemnity or the hospital indemnity cancer or whatever it is that I'm wrapping in, right? So I'm just going to use a number that I know works is $50.90 because that's the average price of the home health care product that I sell. So on my health plan cost, all I'm going to have to do is write in the premium dollars. And if I'm selling a Part B give back plan, I'm going to deduct that from my health plan cost. Or actually, I'm going to do that in my Part B cost. My apologies, right? If I have a Part B premium give back on that plan, right? So my health plan cost is going to be the actual hard premium dollars I write in. So if I'm writing a zero premium plan and say a United National Life hospital indemnity product or whatever it is, I'm going to write that $50.90 in there. Estimated RX cost $36. Now, the plan design that I've created for you is actually going to save you some money on your Part B through a simple rebate system. So instead of having to pay the $174.70, you're going to get a $50 rebate, which is pretty much where I plugged in my $50 hospital indemnity, whatever. And so now your Part B is going to get reduced down to $124.70. And again, I'm just using an example, meaning your total monthly expense, add those together, comes out to about, I think it was like $200 and change, $220. So your total monthly expense like $224.82. Does that sound like the type of healthcare plan that you and your family would appreciate, that would provide you security? Does that fit inside your budget? Yes. Perfect. Just need a few minutes. We got a few enrollments. We'll have you out of here lickety split. Now, I know some of you are wondering, like, well, hang on. He never went through the summary of benefits. Well, I haven't written the plan yet. I am just presenting my options. Now that I've closed them, when I get to the plan and I'm starting to write my enrollment, I am going to go through my summary of benefits with them. So in my presentation, I told you that your plan does include some co-insurances. Remember, it gave you a $2,700 max out of pocket, but I want to go through those co-insurances and show you how they work. And then I'll go through my summary of benefits. Same thing on the top pitch where I was doing a Medicare supplement bundle that included a drug plan. Same thing. I got to review the benefits of that drug plan as part of my enrollment. I am going to do that as I'm going through the enrollment pieces. I'm not going to go back to here and resell the plan by going through all the line items of the summary of benefits. That's asinine. I'm going to get the plan sold conceptually, And then when I move to field underwriting, let's call it what it is, whether I'm doing it by phone or face-to-face on a laptop or a real application, I'm going to do my field underwriting, and then I'm going to go through the summary of benefits to break down how those co-payments and co-insurances are structured. Fairly simple. So I'm going to say it one more time before we close out the show. What I'm able to do, Ms. Jones, is I can take all of this, I can turn it into a zero deductible, all-in-one plan that'll include your hospital, your medical, your dental, your vision, and your drugs. And while it does include some co-payments and co-insurance as you use it, I was able to include a maximum out of pocket of $2,700 a year. So in the event that catastrophe happens, right, you're hospitalized for a lengthy period, or you need a major surgery due to an accident, your out-of-pocket costs are going to be protected for hospital and medical, no more than $2,700 in a year. That plan includes an additional $1,500 in comprehensive dental, a free eye exam every year, and up to $150 annually for those frames that you're wearing. It does include drug coverage, like I mentioned. Your favorite prescriptions, you can go to your favorite your prescriptions that you're taking. You can go to your favorite Walgreens, get them filled up for $36. And then I was able to include a very simple home health care plan that will add on another 360 days of coverage, and it includes a drug rebate as well. So it's just learning to use your language properly, right? And then when I'm selling that Medicare Advantage plan again, when I get to the underwriting side of it where I'm filling out the enrollment, that's when I'm going to go through my summary of benefits, get my check marks done, boom, enroll it, sign it, move out the door. Pretty simple, man. I promise y'all this bundle works. It works face-to-face. It works by phone. It worked so well on the last phone call that I had where I put this together that not only did I write the wife 5 applications, the husband overheard me. And while he already had a good Medicare supplement plan, he already had a good drug plan, he's like, wait a second, I need some cancer and some dental coverage too. And next thing I know, he's on the phone with me going, hey, I need this and I need that. Can you help me with those? Yes, I can. Let's get them banged out. 8 applications later, I made about $1,500 first year just on that one sale, maybe even $1,800 depending on my addition. So that's how it works, man. I promise you it ain't that hard. You just got to practice it. You got to get uncomfortable with it and just be like, let me try this. Okay. If you guys want a generic copy of that worksheet, again, it's not brain science. It's simple. It's just the benefits of Medicare. I pencil in the numbers for them. I show them my custom benefit plan design, and then I total it up at the bottom and ask them 2 closing questions. Is that a healthcare package that you feel comfortable with, the type of healthcare that you want? And 2, does it fit your budget? Yes, yes, boom. If they say no, they're usually going to say no at the first question. Because you'll ask them, is that the type of healthcare coverage that you would, or health plan design you would want? And they might say, yeah, but that's a little more expensive than I thought. Or, yeah, but that really doesn't fit my budget. They're going to give you that objection right up front. And then from there, you can go back to your worksheet and go, well, is there anything in here that you feel like is less important or less valuable to you? There are some ways I can trim this down and then, do some figuring from there and look at what you can do to get it more affordably in their cost or in their price range. Generally, when I do this, when I'm using my 48 hours productively between when I got them to sign the scope and when I'm actually going to come back and do this presentation, I'm usually coming up with 2 or 3 options in my own brain or maybe on my own worksheet that I'm going to present to them. So I'm going to start with the one that I want, that I feel like is the best benefit for them, which is probably a Medicare supplement benefit package if I feel like their budget is in that space and they can afford $350 to $400 a month for a really good healthcare package. I'm going to start with that one. And if they balk at all, then I may look at areas on that worksheet that I can peel back some benefits, or I may look at just moving to a Medicare Advantage plan with some bundling options in that as an alternative, right? So this is a great way, man. If you're out there selling Medicare Advantage and you're selling plans that have givebacks, Part B givebacks in your area, this is a great way to do the bundling. I promise you. You should have no problem writing 2 apps a client minimum if you're writing Medicare Advantage, right? You're always going to write more apps when you're writing a Medicare supplement bundle because you got to include the supplement, you got to get the dental vision, you got to get the drug plan. All of those things are already included in a Medicare Advantage plan most of the time, right? So when you do write a Medicare Advantage plan, you remove some of your ability to crank up a large app count because you rarely are going to have to add dental or vision to it because it's already included, right? Drug coverage is already included, so that's not a secondary app. But you should easily be able to come in there with a strong hospital indemnity, cancer, home health care, all 3, whatever you feel like you can do and protect this client properly without gouging them, right? Don't use this as a license to gouge. Use this as a license to mitigate risk that is within their budget. Hit me up if you guys want a copy of that Medicare worksheet, man. I appreciate you tuning in. This has been a fun one as always. Thank you to DFY for not only providing me a fantastic product, but coming to support the show. And stay tuned because we got some excellent guests coming up. We are going to get Eric Fierro on the show here pretty soon. Also got a few other folks lined up that I'm super excited to bring you, but I'm going to hold some of the names back until we nail down the dates that we got them on. So as always, take action now. That's what the show's theme is for Tuesday training. The goal is to try to give you actionable content, sales skills, knowledge, industry knowledge, whatever it is that you can put in your business and make money today. Take that bundle worksheet out there, right? Don't be afraid. Give it a shot. Worst thing they can say is no. It's not like you haven't heard that one before. Until then, we'll see you next week. Tuesday training. Thank you very much.